depends what kind of organization you have in your mind. And then, depending on this, your leadership, your intervention into the organization will be very similar to the point you have it in your mind. For example, if you think organization is a technical machine, you just switch off something, you just exchange a button or whatever because it's broken, then you will discover it has an impact. Maybe it works, maybe it will not work. If you think an organization is a social system, then you can see that it's a difference. It makes a difference. It's not so easy to exchange just a button or to push a button and say, okay, now I want to improve motivation. You see, nothing happens. Maybe it becomes even worse. So therefore, when we work, or the underlying concept of this group relations work is, or as we work as consultants, is that we always have in mind that an organization is a socio-technical system. Means it has two subsystems. It has a technical subsystem and a social subsystem. And they are very much interrelated. These are the arrows. One influences the other one. One is more technical, as you can see, it's strategy, it's goal, about goal structure, roles, processes, working procedures, infrastructure, the machines you use in the factory itself, and resources, capacities, etc. So these are tangible aspects. You can see it. In this room, this is socio-technical, flip chart, beamer, projector, etc. But we have also the social subsystem, which is about culture, values, the climate. So climate you can even change very fast, but the culture you can't change so fast, as you know. Motivation, and the organization and concept in the mind is more a social structure, a social thing. Or the unconscious dynamics, or hope, to have hope or not hope, to be in stress or not. These are all aspects from some more social subsystem. So if you go to look at organizations and you just concentrate on these technical subsystems, you will fail. It's not enough, because an organization is a social-technical system. If you think like this, you have to consider both subsystems. Yeah? You have to consider also this, I put blue and red. In Germany we sometimes say blue level, red level, to make it easy. Red level is like heart, blood, feelings, like this, Blue level is always head, what we think, tangible, you can touch it also. So if you come in with this concept as a leader, you will lead like this. You will consider both dimensions, both levels, and you have to optimize both levels. Okay? So when we started this organizational development process, we came in with this. And we realized that there were a lot of problems on both levels. The issues were more on this. They did a survey, satisfaction survey, and we had the results, and we had to do something with it. And then we thought, what can we do? We started with a blank flip chart. Okay? With a blank flip chart. There was nothing on it. We didn't have any plans. Okay? No goals. We just started. The idea was, how can we optimize the organization? How can we optimize the organization? How can we become better? How can we improve the satisfaction survey? If people are going, how can we stop fluctuation? Wuxi, a very interesting city. A lot of 2,000 or more, meanwhile maybe 3,000 international companies. Tomorrow you can easily find a job, all of it, and you know. So how can we keep you? What can we do to keep you? It's the major question. Or what can you do to keep your people? You can't say you don't have to go. You have to let them go. If you don't want them to let them go, you have to consider both levels. To think, what are the reasons that the people are unsatisfied? What do we do? what do we have on this level that it influences a negative situation? This was 2004, when we started in China. And we ended up like this. Well, let's say this is something similar. Here you can see social subsystem, technical subsystem. We realized a lot of top managers are just looking at facts and numbers. Facts and numbers. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Target, target, target. Ratio, quality, and all this. But then you realize, strange. We can't reach it so easily if the people are not with us. Huh? Like the case of Sandra Schreiber yesterday. And if you just focus on the social subsystem and forget the numbers, it's not enough as well. A good leader has always good numbers. If you have bad numbers and you think you are a good leader, you are wrong. So why should you be a good leader if your numbers are bad? If the quality is bad, then you have a problem. I mean, I'm a little bit provocative, you know. A good leader, this is, by the way, research. It's nothing I invented. To be a good leader, you need both satisfied people as well as good numbers, good results. Okay? So this would mean that you have to bring your organization to this field. That you have to work and think like this, not just facts and figures. If you have leaders who are just concentrating on this, you will fail. Mid-term, long-term. Maybe short-term you are successful, short-term. But as soon your people start to go out, as soon motivation decreases, you will have facts and figure problems, and result problems. I know this from my own institute. I'm not a consultant, as you know, I'm also leader of an institute with people I know. If I'm too tough to them, they don't work well. If I just say money, 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 it doesn't work. It's very, very sensitive. So 2004 when we came in, situation was like this. Most of the factories in the world are working like this. And the strategy of big companies is, if you have leaders who are just looking at this, mid-term you have to exchange these leaders. You don't keep them, because they do harm to your organization. Because they don't develop your organization. They don't develop your persons, people. By the way, in this company, we sometimes sit together and put the factories and see where are the factories. You can also look as a factory. You can say, where is Turkey, where is Germany, where is United America, States of America, etc. You can have a look overall view. You understand what I said?
You need to check with colleagues where the
Thank you very much. The question is, how do you bring the organization to this field? We work with 4 levels, or 4 dimensions. One is leadership. We always try to start on the top. Because if the top is okay, top doesn't just mean general manager. It's the directors, the managers, the leaders. Because the leaders are influencing very much the culture. They are the first one who are influencing the culture. Of course, the people as well, but still. The second is participation, involvement. Do I decide just myself, or do I involve people in decision-making processes? And this is a very important intervention tool. Okay, leadership, participation, and communication. Some organizations say communication is everything. Communication, you have to talk one by one in meetings like this. Plenaries, you remember why do we do the plenaries in the org lab? It's part of communication and reflection. It's not just information. It's also dialogue. It's reflection. So, you remember we created the extended management team. It was not there in 2004. And we immediately asked for it as a tool for communication, as a tool for involvement, as a tool for general manager to bring in the strategies, to discuss the strategies with the managers who are leading the people, the employees. And then the fourth intervention was enabling or training. But it's not just training. You can also enable by coaching. You can also enable by, let's say, empowering people, giving them more possibilities to widen their responsibility field and their decision making. The 4 levels. I worked nearly 20 years as a consultant with just 3, without leadership. I just involved leadership, let's say, since 2002 or 3, because I realized we couldn't change different companies in the world without the level of leadership. You can say, but it's very simple, why didn't you think of it? Because they always gave us the assignment, we worked with them, but in a way, they said, yes, we have to change organization, culture, our people, but they were not so much involved. And this is the architecture, you have this, which came out at the end. Did we knew this before? Did we knew this? No, we didn't knew. A lot of people said, so what are you doing? Why do you come to China? What do you do with us? I said, I don't know, we have to check together. We have to, this is action research, action learning. I mean, together. This is a participative approach. We don't work like just management consultants and say, but you asked for it. When we started, your consultant in your mind was one of a technical, conceptual management consultant coming and telling us how it works. Remember? Tell us how it works. Tell us what our problems are. Tell us how we go out of this. This was really struggle like this in 2004. Do you remember? I stopped the workshop. I stopped the beamer, the projector, and went out with my Chinese consultant colleague. I said, I am in the cafeteria. If you need me, call me. Otherwise, I just travel around and go back to Germany. Okay? So I stopped it, and you were shocked, and your bosses were shocked. What the hell is he doing? Because I said, I can't work like this. It was an important culture clash, so to say, for us as well as for you. You said, wow. Okay? And then we changed. Then we started, okay, to listen to each other. Maybe I was too tough that time as well. And then it was after following the interviews. First we conducted interviews, a lot of interviews with you. I even talked to the driver. He brought me to Shanghai and I said, okay, 2 hours now interview. Okay, how do you see this? What do you perceive, etc., etc.? What do you think what the problems are? What is your feeling when you work with them? All these kind of questions. Remember Dr. Scher talked about organizational diagnosis, something like this we conducted here. And this is the satisfaction survey. It was very helpful to have this. We didn't run this. This was an external institute, which is very important. So there were a possibility to check how is an organization who is professional doing surveys, seeing the organization. But then they went out and became it. You can say, why didn't they stay? Because it's always important to have also 2 views, different views. It's like, if you do auditing, etc., the auditors doesn't optimize the organization, remember? So sometimes you need regularly audits, or you have it in the best would be to have it in the processes as well, of course. It's more modern quality management. To have it in the working procedures, as you know. And then this was the workshop, the critical workshop, in February 2005, where we had the clash. But the clash was a very learning, it was a shock. Like the plenary maybe on Tuesday when you came in here. And you can see that it's always a good possibility to run workshops. You had already experience with workshops from the production system. Lean organization you had already in 2003 or something like this. And then in 2006, we did, the end of 2006, we did the organizational SWOT analysis. You know SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities. We did the SWOT with the last GM, and then he came, and he could see what the situation is about, and could decide, what do I do? Yeah? So this was the participation moment. These are the organizational reviews. So these interviews we did regularly, and these audits, you see the blue from the social technical, it's the technical subsystem. This was audited always, I don't know if they still go on. So people coming from headquarters, checking production processes, production system, etc. So it was also interesting. And that time, I think they always said, okay, it's a good thing what you do with the OD process as well. So go with it. So it was a good combination of our work. They created these symbols and graphics, etc. Then we had this enabling, the training, communication, presentation, moderation, project management. You remember you were trained, we have to make our people fit in project management, in international project management. Because if they are together with international people from the headquarters, from mother company, I don't want my people to be just silent. I don't want that the Europeans say, well, the Chinese, they don't talk. They don't ask. Can they do projects? Bless you. These were the questions. Yeah? And he, of course, said, of course they can, but they have a different culture. But we have to say to them and show them how the Western culture works, that they can play the game with the Western people. This was the challenge, by the way. Very tough challenge, of course. I remember. I challenged you very much. I said, hey, you have to speak up. You have to challenge us. You have to present. First, no one wanted to present. Remember in the workshops, little workshops we did, groupings, workout sessions, you came back and people didn't want to present. Later they wanted to present. Say, hey, let me present. So this is what works in the West. You have to show. Sometimes it's showtime. Maybe like this a little bit. Yeah? We had also the leadership aspect, which is very strong. You remember we did this 180-degree, 90 feedback in the very first seminar, and we experimented a lot. I learned a lot from you as well. A lot. I always told in Germany, I said, you know, what you don't do, they do it even in China, where you say they don't give feedback, they just want to save their faces also. No, they don't want, they give feedback. This was a learning, and step by step, we did this 360, as you remember. So we prepared you and your culture. We didn't just say, just do it as we do it in Germany. Step by step. In Germany, they said, 360 you say you did in China? Never, never, they said to me. Big companies. And I said, yes, we did. And then we had the seminars. We worked around organization, team, role. Here in the org lab, the role you can really see as a summary, how important role is. You could think, maybe colleagues say, why the hell are they behaving like this? Özdemir doesn't give me his hand. Because I'm in my role as a director or as a consultant. So this is role. If you think in roles, it can be very helpful. I kicked out people from workshops where they didn't have a role. In another company, the CEO said to someone, an external consultant, go to the workshop of Özdemir and look what he's doing. And he was just sitting there. And I asked him, what is your role? He said, I'm here. I said, yes, but what is your role? What are you doing? Are you a member, participant? No, I don't participate. I said, okay, you don't participate. I am the consultant, so who are you? And he said, I'm here. I said, yes, but, and the people were listening, like you now. And I said, okay, but I don't accept this. Just to be here is not a role. What is this? A role has to have a meaning, a task, primary task. And I just said to him, please call the CEO and tell what I told you. And ask him what to do. If he says, please stay, then you can stay. He did this and he said, okay, go out. Because this process, to have someone who doesn't have a role, criticize or threatens the learning of the whole system. That's why thinking in roles is important. Do it in your job too, then it will very, very be helpful. I kicked a lot of people out of workshop. Just thinking in roles. What is your role? Very simple question. And then we worked on the concept of situational leadership. You remember? Situational leadership is the most important or the most widespread style in the world. We will talk later about this. Very interesting. Very, very helpful. And very simple. Then we worked with methods, instruments, etc., management by objectives, of course. And then there was one very difficult thing. This was really difficult. You remember? The headquarter wanted you to implement the competencies. And then you said, competencies, what the hell is a competence? We don't think in China like this. Very sophisticated, what competences you should have, strategic, social, analytical skills, and book, very high sophisticated. A lot of money given to consultants in Germany to create these models, extreme models. And we had really to struggle here. But as, I don't know, who's the singer who says, I did it my way?
Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra, I did it my way. Remember this song? I did it my way. I don't know the text, but so you did it your way, and we helped you by doing it. And we were afraid. We didn't know what the headquarters would think. We were really afraid, and we said, keep it for us, inform later. When we finished, we realized they started that you were something like a benchmark for China. Because it was 95%. And he said, you know what? 95% we do what they want, we did what they want to do. Yeah, great. He said, okay. Because they could have stopped this. They could have said, what did you do 1 year? The hell. Rubbish. They didn't. So they learned from us. They learned from you. The headquarter, can you imagine? And then they brought it back to Germany as well. The knowledge. How to implement such a thing. This was this competency model. And then we have these 3 group relations conferences. This is something like a cake, a piece of cake on the top. This is something, it was, by the way, the first time ever in China. So you took part, and now you are taking part the 3rd time in China. Because the mother organization who was running this conference is a Taoist. So, or in 2000, here we did also, where are we here? Large group interventions, open space conferences. You remember? Sitting like yesterday with 200 people, 180 people, we sat in one circle. And you said, can it work? How can you work with so many people? And we work on, that's why it is red and blue. We work on ideas, product ideas. We work on ratio. We did 3 open space conferences on product ratio. And 1 on satisfaction, how to increase satisfaction of the people. This was also very interesting. And 1 we even did with other companies, with Chuchu, with Nanjing. Here, you visited each other, and it was great. You helped them. This is like Sandra Schreiber said yesterday, like Professor Schreiber said yesterday, it was not just we doing it, but we helping you. It was a top of the top. You not just did what for you, you helped the others to improve. Can you imagine? That's what you do with your quality management. With, what is that? Crucial, this concept you create. Yes, you are now something like benchmark. You won prizes. Can you imagine? It's great. This is organizational learning. This is organizational development. It's not just having a nice culture. These are facts and figures. And the Open Space Conference, by the way, it was the first time in China that you and we together introduced Open Space Conference to China. Can you imagine? Harrison Owen, the founder of Open Space Conference, and he said, congratulations, I wished I would be there. It was 2006. And then we ran a future search strategy conference. You remember? Marvin Weisboard. Sandra, Janoff are the creators. Unfortunately, we were just the second one in China. They did it already with IKEA 1 year before. But we were the second one. It's okay. It's a very complicated concept, strategy to large group intervention. These are more red things, you know, but they are also blue. You remember? Socio-technical, the technical subsystem. What you did is you introduced a new production system. I think you are still working on it. Is now the one who's really pushing it and bringing completely new, let's say, power into this. But this is a very important level subsystem, technical subsystem. Or you optimized HR policies. You optimized wages. You compared your salaries with outside companies. This was very important. Huh? You optimize overtime policies, etc., etc. So what I want to say, just to be nice to each other, it's not enough. Yeah? And you also optimize infrastructure. I know you closed the canteen for the directors. I loved this. It was a small restaurant. Very special service. You remember? Ah, great. But he said, no, I don't want to have differences between blue collars and directors. Close it, something like this. And he did it. And then he put his blue color jacket on and said, let's say no ties anymore, just jacket of the blue color. We are a factory. It's a culture change from the top. I have one too at home. I sometimes, if I'm looking for China, I put it on and say, ah, nice. Yeah. These are symbols, but very, very important symbolic activities. Meeting rooms. You created meeting rooms. You created the Forum Romanum, as you call, with the pillars, where you can do these communication meetings, big meetings, plenaries. So I know it sounds like a great story, I'm sure. But that's not what I want to say. I just want to remind us and then have a look. What are the, let's say, the connections to OrgLab, or what do we see, what happens here, what happened in your organization? Where is maybe Nanjing, I don't know. Yeah? Where is Chuchu? We have a lot of clients. We could put all the clients somewhere. You are really, for us, somewhere very, very top.